This land is sacred to billions. It's called Palestine. For centuries, it was a crossroads of faiths, empires, and trade. But in the last 100 years, it has become one of the most disputed territories on Earth. In this episode of The Disputed Line, we trace the path from empire and promise to war and walls. For over 400 years, Palestine was part of the Ottoman Empire. Here, Muslims, Christians, and Jews lived under a system of local autonomy. Jerusalem, Hebron, Gaza, all were provincial towns in a vast empire stretching from the Balkans to the Arabian Desert. But in the late 1800s, two movements began shaping its future. One was Arab nationalism, calling for independence from Ottoman rule. The other was Zionism, a movement for Jewish self-determination in their ancestral land. At first, they existed side by side. But global events would push them into collision. In World War I, the Ottomans sided with Germany. By 1917, British forces took Palestine. That same year, Britain issued the Balfour Declaration, supporting a national home for the Jewish people. In Palestine, for the Arab population over 90% of the region at the time. This felt like a betrayal. They had been promised independence after the war. Instead, Palestine became a British mandate. Jewish immigration increased, first from Europe, later from those fleeing Nazi persecution. Tensions rose. By the 1930s, riots and violence erupted between Arabs, Jews, and British authorities. After the horrors of the Holocaust, the demand for a Jewish homeland was stronger than ever. The British, exhausted by uprisings, turned the issue over to the United Nations. In 1947, the UN proposed partition, a Jewish state, an Arab state, and Jerusalem under international control. Jewish leaders accepted, Arab leaders rejected it, arguing it violated the rights of the Arab majority. The stage was set for war. In May 1948, things took a big turn when Britain pulled out, and just like that, the State of Israel was born. Then, boom. Arab armies from Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq jumped in and invaded. When the war ended in 1949, Israel controlled more land than the UN had given it. Jordan took the West Bank and East Jerusalem. Egypt took the Gaza Strip. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians became refugees, an event they call the Nakba or catastrophe. In 1967, another war changed the map again. In just 6 days, Israel seized Gaza and the Sinai Peninsula from Egypt, West Bank and East Jerusalem from Jordan, and the Golan Heights from Syria. This kicked off Israel's military occupation of the West Bank and Gaza, which are still super important to the ongoing conflict today. Attempts at peace came and went. Camp David Accords in 1978. Peace with Egypt. Oslo Accords in 1993. The Palestinian Authority created. But settlements grew, roadmaps and summits. None resolved the core disputes. To Palestinian uprisings, the First Intifada in 1987–93 and Second Intifada from 2005 brought waves of violence. Gaza came under the control of Hamas, leading Israel and Egypt to impose a blockade that continues to this day. In 2019, the U.S. recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital, deepening divisions. Settlements expand, rocket fire and airstrikes continue in cycles, and peace remains elusive. For Palestinians, it's a fight for self-determination. For Israelis, it's about security and survival. For the world, it's a symbol of a conflict where history, religion, and politics are inseparable. Imagine if your home was demolished, your family scattered, and then you were told you couldn't return. If someone came along and offered to give half of your home to someone else, you probably wouldn't agree. But if that happened because of competing claims to your home based on religion, history, and politics, it might feel even worse. That's what's happening in Palestine. Both Palestinians and Israelis have deep religious and historical ties to the land. This makes finding a solution extremely difficult because both sides believe they have a God-given right to the land. But there is hope. There are millions of ordinary Israelis and Palestinians who just want to live in peace. Maybe someday they can find a way to share the land. Before we wrap things up, here are some awesome books and articles to dive into. They'll totally help you get a better grip on this tricky topic. In 1948, Israel became the first modern state to be established in 2,000 years. In the decades since then, it has grown into a high-tech powerhouse and a cultural hub. But Israel is also an occupied country. Since 1967, it has occupied Palestinian territory in the West Bank and Gaza Strip. This has led to decades of violence and instability. The Israeli occupation is one of the most controversial issues in international relations. Many countries and organizations, including the United Nations, have called on Israel to end its occupation. But Israel has refused, citing security concerns and historical claims to the land. The situation has been further complicated by the growth of Israeli settlements in the occupied territories. These settlements are illegal under international law, but Israel has continued to build them. The Israeli occupation has turned into a huge roadblock for peace in the region, and honestly, it's made Israel one of the most disliked countries out there. It's a tough situation that affects so many lives, you know? The Arab-Israeli conflict is one of the most intractable conflicts in the world. It has been going on for over 100 years and shows no signs of letting up. The conflict is between the State of Israel and the Palestinians who live in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. The conflict is rooted in the competing claims of the two peoples to the same land. Israelis believe that they have a biblical right to the land, while Palestinians believe that they have a national right to self-determination. The conflict has been further complicated by the rise of Islamic extremism. Groups like Hamas and Hezbollah have carried out attacks against Israel, which has responded with military force. The Arab-Israeli conflict is a huge deal in today's world. It really affects the stability of the Middle East and shapes the future of Israel. This ongoing struggle has deep roots and touches so many lives, you know? The world is full of problems that seem too big and too complicated to solve. But the truth is that every big problem was once a small problem, and every small problem will eventually become a big problem if it isn't solved. That's why it's so important to take action now. We can't afford to wait around and see what happens. We have to be proactive. We have to be willing to stand up for what we believe in. It's definitely going to be tough, but trust me, in the end, it'll totally be worth it. Loved what you just watched? Hit that subscribe button for more fun episodes. Hi there. I'm your host, and I really appreciate you tuning in today. Thanks for watching.